You're listening to the Author Inside You podcast, a weekly podcast designed to motivate you to finish writing a book, choose a publisher, and have your work build an audience. Keep listening if you're looking to get propelled into the next chapter of your life. And now, it's the Author Inside You podcast with your host, Leah and Matt Rafferty.
Hello, and welcome to the Author Inside You podcast. I'm Matt Rafferty.
And I'm Leah Rafferty.
Joining us today is Angela Brister, the author of Black Woman, Just Get Your Hair Wet, Self-Empowerment to Reach Your Divine Potential. Angela is an entrepreneur, speaker, and workshop presenter. As a life coach, Angela focuses her energies to help steer the lives of others towards higher levels of both professional success and personal fulfillment. Welcome, Angela. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Well, Angela, in the title of your book, you have mentioned Get Your Hair Wet. Is that to encourage Black women to jump into new adventures and try new things?
It's exactly that. It's not only to encourage Black women, but it is something that Black women can relate to. It's more of a metaphor, as you stated, to kind of jump in, take on new things, do things you've never done before, because you never know what you'll find and what you can be successful at.
Great. So what motivated you to write a book like this?
Well, one of the things is the whole get your hair wet thing was just some things that Black women don't do. And one of them is getting help for depression. So I struggled with depression early on in life as a child, and then it went into my early adult years. And now I know it's not anything that you can conquer, but in general, Black women don't go get help for depression. And what I'm saying is go get the help that you need so that you can move forward and be successful.
Great. Sounds like a great message.
So what was the writing process like? Had you written essays or blog posts before? Or was this just one day, I think I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write a book and I'm going to, write 100 words every day kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly that. I had never written a blog post. Actually, I'll say that although I'm a successful person in my career, I was never the A student in writing, and it was never my forte. But for some reason, I just felt inclined to write this book. And I actually wrote the book and self-published it, but just felt like I did not put my best effort, my best foot forward. And so I went back to the drawing board, broke the book down, and really got into each chapter and put some meat to it. I think I was rushing the process just to get it done.
So you rewrote the book?
Yes, I did.
Page by page?
Page by page.
Wow, that must have been very interesting. And then looking back and thinking, oh, that's how I wrote that?
Exactly. And I hired a professional editor, and as I look back and I read the first draft of it, I realized that I hired an editor that was not really speaking in my own voice. And it didn't sound like me. I'm like, that's not me. I don't sound like I would say something like that.
Oh, so he changed the whole tone of your book then.
Exactly. And anybody that knows me or might have heard me speak would say she doesn't sound anything like that. I felt like I had more humor, more quirkiness, and this was kind of straightforward, correct English in some sorts. And so as I read it and I kept reading it, even though I have like 4 stars out of 5 on Amazon, it just didn't seem like something that I felt complete with.
So this was an editor that you hired for version 1?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then about how long did it take you to write the first version compared to how long it took you to rewrite the second version?
I would say it took me probably about almost a year to write the first version. And I think I was getting to the point where I was just tired of looking at the book. And I was just like, I want this to be over with. Mm-hmm. And you could actually see that and read that in the book, like, she's just tired of this book. Once you got towards 9 and, the 9th and 10th chapter, you're like, she just was pulling for straws here, trying to figure out what to write. And I realized that. And so I went back to the drawing board, and it took me over a year and a half to get the book the way I wanted it. And then I actually for the first time, I interviewed editors.
Oh, okay.
So what I did was I took a passage from my book and I sent it to 3 editors. And I asked them to proofread it and insert content where they felt necessary to see which one kind of stayed closer to me and my voice.
Wow, what a great idea.
Yeah, that seems like a very good idea that I think our listeners can use. So about how long of a passage did you send to the editors, Angela?
I think I might have sent maybe about 5,000 or 6,000 words or something like that.
Okay.
And did someone jump out right away?
Yes, somebody jumped out really right away, and it doesn't usually always happen this way, I hear, but the editor also took what I was writing to heart.
Oh, great.
kind of had an interest in what I was saying, and understood what I was saying, the concept that I was trying to get across.
That's great. Just think that's a great idea, because I think people just maybe, a friend of a friend says, here's an editor, or the first person that responds, okay, that's my editor.
Or the least expensive.
Yeah,
right?
So that is good.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing, too. I think you kind of got to come to terms with the best editor is not the least expensive editor.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you redo the book cover for version 2?
I used the same image, but I made things bolder. I hired another graphic designer, and he kind of made things bolder and stand out more. And in the second one, I also had someone a friend of mine write the foreword to it.
Oh, that's good.
So I didn't have a foreword, and I kind of see the importance of a foreword now. Kind of setting the reader up from another perspective of what you're about to read, and kind of give some insights on how they felt when they read the book. It was pretty good.
Now, what about did you get to design the cover? You said you hired a graphic artist. Did they come up with the idea, or did you?
I did. I searched high and low on the internet, trying to find a Black woman coming up out of water. Mm-hmm. And one day I ran across it on, I think it was Photo Case. I think I cited it in the book, but it was Photo Case, and it was a photographer, and I bought the rights to use it.
What about publishing it the second time? What did you do differently, or did you do something differently?
I actually didn't do anything. The publishing part I left to CreateSpace. So I published it through CreateSpace, which is free. Mm-hmm. And then you can actually pick the price. They make recommendations, and then they set up the royalty for you and your bank account. And it's kind of just like, this is the best way to go. I thought about taking and kind of putting the manuscript out to publishing companies, but that's a long and tedious process. And, I'd be amongst millions trying to submit it. I just felt like I'm just going to get it out there and market it myself.
Right.
Great. And what about marketing? How are you marketing it?
So I'm doing a few things. I have, of course, my social media marketing. I've been using Facebook boosting, and I've also been using some Instagram boosting.
Great.
I've started a newsletter so that people can sign up on my website.
Oh.
And I have been doing speaking engagements where I've been kind of promoting the book. And I had a book launch in Atlanta that stirred up a lot of attention towards the book.
That must have been fun.
It really was. It's interesting when you do something. And I say that because I launched the first book too, and I launched this book, and it was a totally different feeling about the pride I felt in the second edition.
So tell us about the book launches. What did you do to prepare, like for the first one, and what did you do differently for the second one?
The first one, I kept it kind of small and local, and I only invited, I would say, friends and family, and had them bring friends and family. Like I said, I wasn't too confident in the book itself, I guess, and I just wanted to get it done. But the second time, I feel like I went bigger. A friend of mine owns a cigar bar in Atlanta, and and he offered the space to me for free.
Great.
He had some people that publicizes his bar, so the cigar bar. So he helped publicize that throughout Atlanta. I publicized it on my on all my social media outlets, and he publicized it on his social media outlets. I had done a few radio spots down in Atlanta before the event. And so I felt like I had done more to kind of lead up to it. I kind of stepped out more and invited people to come instead of keeping it, small within my family and friends.
So when you say radio spots, do you mean commercials, or did you get interviewed on radio stations?
I got interviewed on radio, 2 radio stations in Atlanta.
Great.
That's pretty big.
yeah.
I mean, Atlanta.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's a big market.
Yeah.
So how did you get on the radio stations?
I'm fortunate enough to know Monique Carradine, who used to be on the radio in Chicago, and I was part of a mastermind group that she ran, and she was my life coach. And so when I told her that I was rewriting and launching and I was doing it in Atlanta, she called in a few favors on me.
It's who you know, right?
Yeah, the connections really make a difference.
Right.
Well, congratulations.
Right.
That sounds very exciting.
That must have been
Thank
very
you.
good. Yeah, to have that. And so the radio interviews were before the book launch so that you could talk about the book launch on the radio. That is great.
And where I was going to be. It was great. It was something I liked. I was like, if I write another book, I'm going to do it the same way.
Sure.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go where your audience is and tell them about the launch. Yeah.
And then I gave away, my friend was like, you should give away something that is related to water. So I couldn't come up with anything really special. So we just gave away we relabeled water bottles.
Oh.
Excellent idea.
And then had your book on the...
Yep.
Oh.
And had my book and my website. And so we gave that away free at the book signing. And then I sold the book and signed the book. And then I gave away some T-shirts. I came up with a hashtag. And the T-shirt was just, one of my favorite colors is the maroon, which is, the book is black and maroon. But we had maroon shirts that said hashtag get your hair wet.
Oh, that's cute.
Very nice.
Yeah. And so we gave those away. Didn't give away a lot of them because if you don't buy them in bulk on custom ink, they cost like $30 a piece.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Yeah. Very cool. So it sounds like the book launch was a big success. That sounds like a great way to get the word out.
Yep.
Excellent.
It is. And I got a few speaking engagements from that. So of course, once I speak, I sell the book in the back of the room and things like that. But
and how do you find other speaking engagements?
I find them off referrals, mostly people referring me.
Great. So word of mouth. That's great.
Word of mouth. And then people who have read the book, I ask people who have actually ordered the book or gotten the book personally from me, I ask them to contact me back and let me know what they think about the book. I can't, do that on Amazon or anything, but if they personally purchase the book from me, I like to get feedback from them and then possibly put testimonials either on my website or I'm going to start putting them on my Facebook page and things like that.
Great. So you can order the book on your webpage?
When I first was getting ready to launch the book, 3 weeks before I launched the book, I made a web page. Plus, I designed my entire website on Wix.com, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, it's very nice looking.
Thank you. And I created a page where you could pre-order the book and get a personalized signature from me.
Oh, that's nice.
Prior to buying the book. So that was really successful. I put that on Facebook and I got a lot of people. I would say a lot is a comparison to a self-published book. Okay, I'm not saying hundreds of thousands, but I got about 70 people actually.
Great.
And so I ordered the books, of course, from Amazon, signed them, and the week of my launch, I shipped them to them.
Oh, great.
That's exciting, too. You have a lot of good ideas.
Yeah. It was, I loved doing that. People showed the interest, and then the thought was that if they enjoyed the book, that they would provide some, a positive quote back to me.
Sure. So do you still do that now? Offer a signature on the book?
I was just thinking about that. I need to take that page I created and actually put a link on my website, because I didn't have it as a link on my website. You actually had to click through on the Facebook or Instagram page to get to it.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't visible on my website. So I'm going to make it visible on my website.
Excellent.
I know you said you're obviously a public speaker, but do you do anything like go to bookstores?
I have a local Barnes and Noble, and I haven't really taken it any further than this, but I actually went to the local Barnes and Noble and talked to the lady there and told her I was a local author, and she allowed me to do a book signing there one Saturday.
Oh,
Wow.
Well, how was that? Did you have fun?
It was fun, and, people were walking by and, they ask you about the book, and then I made sure I posted it on Facebook so that I could get some traffic running
Sure.
through.
So just by going in and talking to the manager of the store saying, hey, I'm local, can I come in someday? She said, sure, come in on a Saturday, which I would imagine is one of the 2 busiest days of the week at a Barnes
Yes.
and Noble. And just like that, you got it. I mean, it was there was no other negotiating, or it didn't cost you anything. That is fantastic.
Nope. And they put the remaining 4 or 5 books on the shelf for sale.
That's
wow.
great. Yeah.
That must have been fun. Did you I hope you took a picture of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got pictures.
Good. That sounds like fun.
And I still have, that Barnes and Noble makes that big sign. I still have the sign with
great.
the book
Yeah.
cover on it. And yeah, I need to do something with that stuff, but I still have it.
Wow.
Yeah, well, how could you get rid of it?
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
How many people have that?
But that's
Yeah.
really neat that you're a self-published author and Barnes and Noble let you come in and sit down. I mean, I'm just very impressed with that.
Yeah. And I think the best thing about that is, too, because I self-published through Amazon, it also opens up all those other channels. So Barnes and Noble picks up on that, and they actually sell it through Barnes and Noble as well.
Oh, great. And is that as a result of going in and talking to the manager, or that's just a side?
No, that's part of the Create Space Amazon platform. Once it gets on Amazon, for some odd reason, all the other bookstores pick it up as well.
Well, don't complain, right?
Yeah.
I don't see how that would be possible, but I can imagine that, Amazon, they'll make money however they can.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not losing money on you, right?
Right.
What about the actual rewriting process? Did you find it difficult? Did you some days say, this is just too much? Or did you find it peaceful and encouraging to yourself?
Parts of it I felt peaceful. Some of it was just really discouraging because you had to fix something that was already there. It wasn't like you were writing new. You were trying to add on something that a concept that you had already came up with. And that's kind of hard to kind of fit that concept into what's already there. Mm-hmm. So I found myself rewriting, all sections of the book, but I didn't want to totally destroy the book. The book had the same name. Mm-hmm. So I kind of want to keep it true to what it was, but just change up the feel. It was a funny feel to the book. Like I said, it just did not feel like it was me after I got it edited.
Well, I give you a lot of credit for going back and rewriting. I mean, a lot of people, I think, would just say, oh, well, there it is, But I think, obviously, like you said, you have a strong passion for this book. And it takes a lot of strength to go back and, rework something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. And my friend who wrote the foreword, she told me, and it actually turned out pretty good. My preface actually admits to the readers why I rewrote it.
Okay.
So I wrote in the preface, hey, if you're reading this book and you've already read it, I rewrote it because I felt like I just did not put my best foot forward. But everything in this book is me, all me. And I feel like if I was going to leave a legacy, it's going to be this book. I felt uncomfortable leaving the legacy of the other book.
Interesting.
So.
And then I'm sure the readers feel like they get to know you better, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone likes when everyone's honest. And
Exactly.
that's great.
Well, Angela, do you have any advice for other authors who are working on a book, or maybe somebody's written a book and isn't happy with it and wants to rewrite it?
I would say go for it. I would say if you don't feel comfortable with what you're presenting, other people can tell you don't feel comfortable. And so I would rewrite it until you get it. Now, nothing's perfect. I mean, there's still stuff in the current book that I have that I'm like, oh, that could sound better. But I'm very happy with going back and rewriting. Another advice I would give is you don't have to be the best writer in the world to write a book. I think writing a book is more about passion, unless you're writing something technical. I think it's more about passion, and only you have that story and only you can tell that story. So that's what they make copywriters and editors for.
Right. For cleaning up our bad writing. Exactly.
Yeah, for cleaning up our bad writing. But as long as we get what we want to say out, they can clean it up and like I did on the second attempt, find the editor that works best with you. Don't settle for the first editor because they're like, oh yeah, I did some proofreading back in the day and I'll go ahead and proofread your book. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you have to put the time and the money into it if you want it to turn out the way you want, the way you want it.
Yep, I think you're right. That's good advice.
I know we talked about your cover before, and this is kind of jumping around, but I have to say I really do like your cover. It's very interesting. And the image, you picked a great image because it's really, you look at it and you're like, you just feel something's happening here. You know what I mean? Like this is, I guess it makes you feel like I should read this book because it's going to make a difference in my life.
Yes. So, and that's what I wanted. I wanted you to kind of feel like I'm getting my hair wet and then I'm popping up out of this water and I feel free.
Yeah.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel like something's going on, right? It seems.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, it took me months to find that photo.
Well, it's a perfect one.
Right.
I mean, obviously I don't know you as well, but it gave me that feeling. And so I would think that's what you're trying to convey. If that is what you're trying to convey, it certainly got to my bones, I guess, got to my bones. Like, this is a good book.
So if somebody wants to reach out and contact you, Angela, what would be a good way for our listeners to do that?
They can contact me on my website at angelabrister.com. That's AngelaBrister. I am on Facebook as author Angela Brister and on Twitter as Angela Brister. Or they could just plain old email me at angela@angelabrister.com.
Oh, very cool.
One more thing. I see you have an AB. I like how you have the AB. I like the font and everything. How did that come about?
The guy who actually did the cover of the book, I was thinking about publishing under my own name. And so I was trying to come up with a logo, but then I decided not to. And so I used that as the logo of the book. And he kind of put it together, and I just thought it looked interesting.
Yes. Yeah,
Right.
I like it. I think it looks nice.
So what Leah's talking about is on Angela's webpage, there's an AB, which is like a logo next to the title, next to your title, and it's very cool. It's just a very simple font, and it looks very cool.
Yes.
And that's what everyone says when they see it. It's like, it's just very clean.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And nowadays people do a lot of extravagant stuff, and if you're thinking big, I want to think one day they'll see that AB and know it's me.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's what I'm thinking. It's like your signature. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And it's it shows why you should hire a graphic artist, and why if you had just put an A and a B there and Times New Roman, it would look just like somebody wrote ab, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But an artist knows to put it lowercase, that cool font, and it just really fits.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Well, congratulations on everything, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thanks for having me on the show. This was wonderful.
Sure.
Thank
Great
you.
talking to you, Angela. And one last thing before we go, just wanted to let you know that if you have an Amazon device,
Or Alexa,
we have a skill available for that device so that you can listen to the podcast whenever you want. I created a little how-to video, and you can find it on theauthorinside.you.com.
go to the how-to page, and Matt will explain how to use the Alexa to play our podcast. Until next time.
Right on.
Thank you for listening to the Author Inside You podcast with your host, Leah and Matt Rafferty.